Starting pitcher, sleepers, breakouts, and busts next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. As always, make sure to follow and stream us on Spotify. Today is Monday, February 28th. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Scott White, and let's get started with a sleeper at starting pitcher. Who you got, Scotty?
So I got a trio of old guys that for some reason are being written off, even though their track records are incredible. And we've liked them all as top 15, top 25 pitchers in the very recent past. And they are Kyle Hendricks, Carlos Carrasco, Zach Greinke. I don't know what we're doing with these three. Like, yes, they're coming off bad years. I don't know why with their track records, it's reason to just completely cast them off. I mean, Hendricks is coming off a 7-year run with a 3.12 ERA. What's crazy is like there wasn't even clear skills diminishment for any of them, even though the numbers suffered. It's not like any of them lost velocity on their fastball. Carrasco missed the first 2/3 of the season with a hamstring injury, and so when he came back, his slider didn't seem to have the same bite to it. Well, he didn't have a normal buildup, so that kind of makes sense, right? The fact he was throwing as hard, I think is pretty encouraging. And really, other than last year, the only blemish for Carrasco is that 2019 season when he was fighting leukemia. So the numbers were bad those 2 seasons when he had physical issues going on. 2020, in between, numbers were still amazing. A sub-3 ERA, great strikeout rate. Final 6 starts of that 2020 season, I mean, Carrasco's looked as good as he ever has. And then Greinke, of course, I mean, he's old, I get it. But again, there wasn't a clear loss of skill here. So at basically the end of the draft, I will be happy to take any or all 3 of these guys.
All right. And I've got a trio myself. I'm going to focus on one of them, but I have a rule. I don't want to leave any of my drafts without at least one San Francisco Giants starting pitcher. And between Alex Cobb, Anthony DeSclafani, and Alex Wood, I think that they are all being undervalued right now. Alex Cobb is the one I want to focus on. 288.5 is the ADP, and he was really good last year. 3.76 ERA, over a strikeout per inning. The underlying numbers were even better than that. He gets a lot of ground balls, 53% ground ball rate for him, a career-high swinging strike rate, and the Giants do a great job with pitchers the past couple of years, and specifically with a splitter pitcher in Kevin Gausman the past couple of seasons. Now, Gausman leaves to go to Toronto, but Alex Cobb known for throwing that splitter, and I think the Giants will be able to get the most out of him this season. So I am in on Alex Cobb. Scotty, you are up next, a breakout starting pitcher.
I'm going to go with Patrick Sandoval, who showed signs of breaking out last year. His changeup might be the single best swing and miss pitch in the game. He had mostly leaning on that. I mean, the slider's pretty good too, but mostly because of the changeup. 15.2% swinging strike rate last year. It was, at least among qualifying pitchers, only 5 had a better swinging strike rate than Patrick Sandoval. He had a start with 30 swings and misses. That's not something Scherzer did last year, or DeGrom, or Corbin Burns. Sandoval did it. And if the overall numbers look pretty strong, but if you just look at his 13 starts, a 3.12 ERA, a 106 WHIP, he clearly had it figured out before having that stress reaction in his back that shut down his season. But the stuff is really impressive, and he seems to be well on his way to making good on it.
Breakout for me, Logan Gilbert turns 25 years old in May, the prospect phenom for the Seattle Mariners. The surface numbers last year, not great, 4.68 ERA, but the strikeout to walk ratio was much better for him. He had a really rough stretch in August where he had some tough matchups. He had to face the Blue Jays, the Astros 3 times in like 5 starts. So it was rough for him, but I think individually, the pitches are there. The fastball, the slider, the changeup, they all get good amount of swings and misses. He's just got to put it all together, and if he does that, I think we could see a truly huge season from Logan Gilbert. Scotty, wrap us up here with a bust at starting pitcher.
Zach Gallen is my bust here. His effectiveness really dropped off after he missed time beginning in May with a sprained elbow. The ligament, the UCL. There was damage there in the middle of last season. He came back and he had stretches where he kept runs off the board, but his swinging strike rate especially was just way down. And I think anytime you see a loss of effectiveness like that for a pitcher who has something going on with his UCL, feels like Tommy John surgery is just right around the corner. So, there's a point where I draft Gallen, but I never get to that point because somebody always drafts him first.
I know our buddy Chris is on Luis Castillo, but I just can't do it, man. The inconsistency year over year, the whip, he's going to kill you in that department if you play in a roto or a categories league. 1.22 whip or higher 3 of the last 4 seasons for Luis Castillo. The strikeouts were down last year. The swinging strike rate was down for him. So all that inconsistency, he pitches in Cincinnati. I'll pass on Luis Castillo where he's going, usually as your SP2 or SP3. I'm passing on Luis Castillo. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, your smart speakers, or anywhere else podcasts are found. And thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.